This is Annie Walther, Executive Assistant at Crestmont's Bernie offices, and you are listening to The Ascent with Crestmont Private Wealth.
The opinions expressed are those of the host. The material is for informational purposes only. It does not constitute investment advice, and it is not intended as an endorsement for any specific investment. Visit CrestmontPW.com for more details.
Welcome to The Ascent. This is Sam McGee with Crestmont Private Wealth. We have offices in Houston, Texas, and in Bernie, Texas, just outside of San Antonio. So today we're going to talk a little bit about concentrated stock positions. And this is a really near and dear subject to my heart. And there's a few reasons why, and I want to share a little background on why this is so important to me. And if you're listening to this and you don't have any concentrated stock positions, that doesn't mean that your neighbor doesn't, your father-in-law doesn't, your friend, your best friend from high school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I find that this is probably one of the most latent risks in a portfolio throughout my career. And it's something that deserves some attention. And so, Baron, that's why I'm talking about this today, because I'm really passionate about this one. So what do these companies have in common? And it's not going to be hard to figure out. Enron, Lehman Brothers, Bear Stearns, WorldCom, Washington Mutual, Citigroup, AIG, Lucent, Nortel Networks, Sears. Take a guess. Concentrated positions where you had executives, well, sometimes they pulled out like Enron guys did and they went to jail, but concentrated positions that went from a lot of wealth to very little wealth. And really the reason why I'm so passionate about this show is because there is a thing called control bias that all of us have to a certain degree. If we didn't have control bias, we wouldn't drive our cars every day. We would go now and give up our car and we would go get one of these automated cars if we could all afford one and get taken to work and not drive. But you feel in control when you drive your car. And I'm just kind of laying out this analogy to give a little grace and give a little bit of empathy to why people do it. So if you're listening to this, don't turn your brain off, is my point. Because you might be listening to this right now and you might have a huge block of ConocoPhillips stock, Valero stock. I see it all the time. And why do we do it? Why do people hang on to stock? It is control bias. They have a tendency to believe that if they are in control, nothing bad is going to happen. Now, is that true when you drive a car? No. People get in wrecks all the time. But you really are kind of in control of your car for 50% of what could be an accident. You do not control what someone else does when they go down the road. And so just stick with me on this for a minute. The reason we drive the car is because we love the freedom and we love the control. America is obsessed with individualism and with automobiles. I mean, I like cars. I've got a couple of them. And yet we do this knowing the risk that we can get into accidents, driving to work, going down the highway. Anything can happen any given day. So what's my point in this? And what in the world does this have to do with concentrated stock positions? Well, it's the same mentality. You're still going to go to work driving. You're still going to take the risk of going and getting groceries. It doesn't mean you should quit driving, but you're not in control. You are really, truly, truly not in control. You have influence, but you're not in control. I'm going to switch this over to stocks and the stock market. I want you to think about the whole stock market as a whole, the entire system as being the superhighway, okay? Think about it like tons and tons of cars going down the road, and think about those as being individual stocks. And there's risk. At any given time, there can be an accident and cars get banged up. There can be fatalities. There can be a blown out tire, all sorts of things. And they're going to happen. Fair? Okay. So those of you that are still with me, I'm going to pivot this over to the stock market. In the S&P 500, as an example, there's 500 stocks. And if I told you that this year there are many stocks that are up and many stocks that are down, go fact check me, because it's true. And this is as of today, August 6th, 2026. So it's a little dated. This is going to change a little bit by the time it's on the air. 341 stocks are up in the S&P 500 year to date. 160 stocks are down. Yet the whole stock market's up. So what does that mean? That basically means the index is up, but there are a lot of stocks down. And a lot of people don't realize this, but there are a few mega caps, big securities that are more weighted than, or they're bigger. So think about that superhighway. They're more like the 18-wheelers going down the road. The 18-wheelers are really kind of setting the tone for the traffic. So think about the big technology stocks right now. The big names, the ones you all know what I'm talking about. They're driving a lot of the movement of the S&P 500 because they carry more weight than the other stocks. And there's actually a graph that I'm going to send out in our newsletter. And if you want to get a copy of that, you can. There's no obligation. Send us an email. You get signed up for our newsletters, and we'll send you this graph and this podcast every Monday morning. info@crestmontpw.com. Annie, or sweet Annie Walther down on Main Street, will reply and get you all signed up. So it actually shows the breakdown of these weightings in the S&P 500. And there are some big mega caps that are driving things. So let's bring this on back to concentrated stock positions and why am I so passionate about this subject. So I started my career in wealth management, working with a lot of folks at ConocoPhillips. We still do today. I mean, quite a few actually. And we help them through retirement. We help them through their benefits and kind of that transition, pre-retirement, at retirement, post-retirement, ideally a lifetime client. And we're starting to do that a lot with some Valero folks as well. And I have found that people that work in the industry, that they've been around for a very long time, become unaware of their surroundings in their investment portfolio. So think about it like driving down the road in your, I don't know, let's just pick a car, F-150, and it starts to fit like a glove and you know exactly all its little intricacies and you get from point A to point B every day and you start getting real comfortable. You don't think about the risk of that thing breaking down at 100,000 miles like mine did. And sure enough, something's going to happen at some point. You get comfortable. And you also feel that control bias that, hey, I work there. I know some things. Now, you may, and if you're subject to inside information, you can't trade on that. That's a securities law, okay? But you're blacked out for those kind of things anyway. You can't even trade on that. You get blacked out. But you get really comfortable because you've been around it. Just like being on the highway. Think about you being 16 years old and white knuckle going down the road next to an 18-wheeler. And now when you're 50 and you're probably texting your friends and eating a cheeseburger and you don't even care. That is the comfort combined with the control bias that I see these investors have with their stock. And the sad part of that, Baron, is that as you get older, you get into your 50s like me, now, unfortunately. Oh, dude, I don't look 50. I don't feel 50. Man. But you get even more comfortable. And they pay you more. And they give you more restricted stock. And all of a sudden, you have these golden handcuffs. So you're not only driving down the road, you're near retirement. You're trying to get near that exit lane. And you're carrying a F-150 bed full of your own company stock. And those names that I gave you earlier, the WorldCom, the Enron, Sears, JCPenney, you name them. Once upon a time, everyone thought, for the most part, that I can think of in my humble opinion, oh, they'll be around forever. Well, think about it. Radio Shack, Blockbuster. Now, please don't roll your eyes that energy's always going to be here, da-da-da. Yeah, I agree, okay? I do agree. I think energy plays a vital role to our economy. I am very pro-energy. I'll just say that. It's my show. I can say that. But it doesn't mean that you should be fully invested in stocks that you do not control. You do not control. The stock market, the highway, and what happens in the overall economy and what happens in the market, geopolitical risk, supply and demand, prices of commodities change everything. And I'm not going to pick on my energy folks here, that when they come to Crestmont Private Wealth, we educate them on that. They go through that. And I will say our batting average in getting people to diversify is very high. And we develop a plan that's not only tax sensitive, but makes sense, honoring the past while looking forward to the future in your retirement. Now, this applies to all industries. And I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to go back to my banking days. And I'm just going to pick on myself here a little bit. I started out as a private banker, and straight out of school, I was in private wealth management, and I didn't have my CFA charter yet. I just got my graduate degree, and I was uber confident, like, oh man, I know a lot. Well, now I've been working 28 years, I know a lot more. And I actually picked one of those stocks I won't name, Baron. I did early in my career. And it wasn't a ton of money, but it was back when I kind of self-managed my investments. I wasn't an advisor yet. And it wasn't a ton, but I watched that just go straight down. And yeah.
Blockbuster?
No. I'll just say it. It was Washington Mutual. And yeah, it was during the financial crisis. And I learned a very valuable lesson. And so I do share that. I think it's important to have humility, to share that we all have these mistakes. I worked in that industry, so I had that control bias. I felt like, I know this industry, but I wasn't in control. And so it was a valuable lesson to me. And I share that story all the time with clients when they come in and they have concentrated positions. So if you're listening to this today and you're one of those executives that has too much of that stock, you're getting too much of it each year, don't get complacent. If you're a family that inherited a bunch of stock that maybe mom or dad left you and you're emotionally tied to that, don't do it. Get a plan. Diversify, be smart about it, be tax sensitive about it. And we're here to help you. We work with a family that has $1 million in liquidity and up. Our typical client has, I'd say, somewhere between 3 and 8 million. We have some that have a lot more. We have some that are less, that are high earners. But generally speaking, Baron, we like to work with folks that are optimistic, that are philanthropic, that care about their family. They care about planning. They care about partnering with a wealth management firm that really is going to invest their time in getting to know them and developing trust. And that is our currency, is trust. So if you're listening to this today and you've been thinking about calling us, reaching out to us, please do. We'd love to hear from you. A confidential consultation at your leisure. Just email us, info@crestmontpw.com. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and God bless. Be safe on the highways.